Hey guys, this is Impact Hall of Famer Gail Kim, and you are watching the Countdown City WrestleCast.
What's up, heels and baby faces? Welcome to another episode of the Countdown City WrestleCast. I'm your host, JC, and I'm joined this week on the phone by Mike.
I'm Mike, and dear God, 2020 is never going to end.
And Tommy.
Yeah, it's still this year, folks.
Yeah, it's
been 2020 for about 5 years now.
At least April's almost over, man. It's been crazy month compared to how long March was when you think about it. So, our Twitter account, of course, is at @CCG_WrestleCast, and you can subscribe to our Countdown City YouTube channel. Got a few new subscribers. Thank you, everybody, for joining, everybody for watching. For those of you that are new, usually we're talking about some of great events, current wrestling news, and obviously with what's been going on, there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about as far as current news. Last week was a WWE release week. It felt like we had to talk all about that. So. This week, though, we're going to be breaking down an episode of Dark Side of the Ring that dealt with what was WWF at the time, Brawl For All, which was basically a 16-man tough man tournament to see who was really the badass tough guy was. There was really nothing scripted about it.
Mistake number one. Anyway.
Yeah.
Or also, as the document portrayed, maybe the origins of the Vince Russo, Jim Cornette heat.
Yeah, definitely. We'll kind of break that down. But before we get into that, there's a little bit of wrestling news. And quite frankly, it's not all WWE related, which is kind of nice. Of course, I was watching AEW last week, and an ad popped up that Double or Nothing is still happening on Saturday, May 23rd. So they're still keeping the pay-per-view date. I'm pretty sure that's the date. Well, whatever it is. Basically, it's Memorial Day Saturday.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Still Double or Nothing. They didn't really put that it was still taking place in Vegas, although we can assume that because the way the Vegas mayor has been, everything is reopening now. So, I don't know. There's been some rumors that maybe they're going to run, a no crowd thing out of Jacksonville, even, if it's still going to be a pay-per-view. I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. Do you guys think the pay-per-view should still go forward?
At this point, why not?
Yeah. Do it like WrestleMania.
Yeah. So you don't know if they should do a full crowd like they had planned in Vegas?
I mean, that you're talking about less than a month away at this point, basically.
Yeah.
I would be hesitant to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue is with that, is having the whole crowd there.
Now, if they run this as like a pay-per-view, like with no crowd, I'm wondering how this might affect the pay-per-view buy price. Because I almost feel like if they're going to be having this with no crowd attendance, maybe they should lower the price, and it has a good chance of a lot more people buying it.
Yeah, that would make sense, especially since they don't have, a network type thing to do, where you can just get it like, $9.99 a month. So. If they did no crowd, I would definitely think you would lower the price a bit to make it more reasonable price to get.
Yeah, because you almost don't get a full experience kind of thing. So, now Impact has actually been doing a pretty good job every week, still running their show. They had a huge library of tapings backed up, and they actually have been broadcasting Rebellion, which was a pay-per-view they had set for the end of this month, actually. And obviously that got canceled. It was going to be in Toronto. Night 1 was last week. Night 2, interesting that Elgin was supposed to be taking his shot at Tessa Blanchard's title along with Eddie Edwards, and Blanchard and Eddie Edwards didn't show up. So I guess that's a big question mark then, is if it's going to be, if they're trying to set up Blanchard versus Elgin one-on-one. We're going to find out Tuesday.
They've been going back and forth on Twitter, but I thought, I don't know if this was how long ago this was taped, but I thought I heard Elgin was having trouble coming out of Canada and being able to get back over here.
Okay. I don't know exactly where they're filming it. Yeah, that would make sense.
They've been sniping at each other on Twitter and stuff and social media.
Yeah, which is kind of good.
That's also
something
probably
up
to keep
with
the
that.
angle going between them.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And it builds a little bit of intrigue, and I think people are still kind of sleeping on Impact, but they're putting together something good every week. So they still have the social media presence. Yeah. One other match for night 2, which we're taping this on Monday night. This will probably be out before Tuesday night when this will air. Rosemary versus Havoc. I know Tommy's looking forward to this. Full Metal Mayhem.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. This
Among
is
other
the
matches
good
on the
stuff,
card.
baby, right here. Rosemary and Havoc in the same match. It's like Santa got my letter that I write him every single year.
Maybe that's part of the reason we're recording this tonight, so that Tommy has time to watch that tomorrow. So I guess that kind of did work out.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Does this take place in the night?
is it?
You guys just have to leave me alone because I'll be watching that. So
Okay. And then last Friday, SmackDown, I didn't see it, but I mean, I saw news reports. It basically turned into a Triple H 25th anniversary celebration. And I don't know, Mike, you saw it. I don't know if Tommy, you watched it as well.
I didn't watch it. I heard about it. I haven't seen any clips yet. I kept meaning to. I kept forgetting.
Okay, what exactly happened with that Vince McMahon thing at the end?
Okay, well, so there's kind of two things to get through here. So let me say this first. I've always respected Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
I just have this big bias against him because he married into the family, and they kind of want to tell us he's the greatest ever at times, and that bugs me a little. That being said, for the most part, most of the night was just clips of different things from his career.
Right.
And then at the end, honestly, about the last 30 minutes, which I thought was kind of weird, he comes out. Mm-hmm. So I guess from the first episode they did without a crowd, where he was on commentary and everyone kind of enjoyed him, I guess they realized let's kind of spin it into like funny Triple H.
Right.
So first off, they kind of did this bit where he comes out and he has his water bottle, and as he's walking to the front of the ring, one of the production assistants comes and grabs the water from him. So they won't let him do his spit entrance. Okay. And he's like, all right, okay, I guess. And then he comes out and like within a few seconds is interrupted by Sean. And Sean comes out. And they kind of go back and forth. And then so it's all kind of, making fun of himself, joking around. They played a bunch of like DX lowlights and things where they made mistakes and stuff. And then he gets a call on his phone from Stephanie, and Sean thinks she can't see her. What's that?
Oh, yeah, your favorite person.
Exactly. And so Sean's like mocking her on camera, thinking he can't see her. She's like, yeah, I can see him. I'm watching this live right now. And Sean's behind him, like, making faces. And then Ric Flair gives him a call or whatever. So it was kind of fun. And then Vince McMahon's music hits. And I don't know how to explain this. He comes out and kind of praises him and then kind of makes fun of him. And he throws out the comment, this couldn't be worse than some other segments we've had. He's like, it couldn't be. You remember Bailey's This Is My Life? Oh, granted, he had the wherewithal to go, that wasn't Bailey's fault. Which of course she jumped on in social media like, thank you, that's right, it wasn't. But I don't know.
Wow.
Like, a la Gene Snitsky. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
And then at the end, like, he kind of insults him some more, and then they literally turn the lights off, the lights off on him. And Shawn Triple H was like, oh, I guess you turned the lights off on me. Triple H was laughing the whole time. But you got to watch it. Like, Vince was just out there.
You shared an article with us that was written this morning. About has Vince basically hit a breaking point? I mean, this has been one of the worst years for him professionally. I mean, the XFL was doing great, and a lot of money invested in that. It was doing well, and it had to it hasn't fully folded, but it had to shut down through no fault of its own. I mean, this whole pandemic has screwed a lot of things up. And a lot of professional sports too, and the biggest thing with the XFL is they didn't have the money saved up like the NFL did to where they can keep some sort of semblance going, or like the NFL draft, the first round drew on average 15 million viewers last Thursday night, which is insane, but people are starved for sports, right? So that he brings a lot of money in to re-up that. and that has to shut down through no fault of his own. He has to pull in WrestleMania into a 2-night, no crowd sort of thing. He's kind of all over the place now. I feel like he's just so stressed, and the article basically feels like Vince has said, "Screw it." He's just doing whatever at this point.
That, and then the interesting thing is they mentioned, and again, these are just allegations or rumors, but apparently, like at headquarters, people are trying to avoid him because he just kind of goes off on things and like flips out on people. And he's always clearly had a reputation of being very eccentric and having very peculiar pet peeves and annoyances of things, like the stories of people that sneeze and this and that.
Basically everything Brody Lee's making fun of.
But it just seems like he's gone for, apparently according to the report that with everything that's happened this last month or so, he's kind of gotten worse with it and just been like, whatever, I don't care, and gone crazy.
Yeah.
At this point, though, it's like, it's Vince. Don't you expect crazy when you work for him?
Yeah.
On some
it's
level,
unfortunate how many alleged billionaires that are in charge of things are losing their mind recently. But
yeah, because their income pool is
that's all I'm gonna say. I'm
kind of screwed up. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing about Vince is the little things that he hates is because he has no control over it, and he's in a situation that he really doesn't have a whole lot of control over.
Right.
Yeah.
Prime example, he can't force states to allow people back into arenas. He can't force travel restrictions to lift. He has no control over whether or not Roman Reigns wants to come into work or not when you think about it, because he's not going to fire him because that's like a big money grab for him. So,
yeah. Well, he's not going to fire him also because it's like, dude, the guy's not coming because he doesn't want to. He's coming because her previous medical conditions legitimately said to him, no.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
although we also talked about a week or two ago, they may have, not control, some influence on them allowing to still be working in Florida right now. So,
Yeah. Although if that's true, like an anonymous WWF employee is saying, they're forcing vice versa, who knows? Who knows how
there was that story too that.
Yeah.
And that's probably hard to prove because I'm sure it wasn't that specifically, but
yeah,
I think a lot of people feel like their job might be in jeopardy if they said they do anything, especially if you're not Roman Reigns or someone super high on the totem pole in the pecking order, if you will.
Pretty much, yeah. You really can't say a whole lot because then they can just let you go. The whole independent contractor status, they basically can do whatever they want. So
yeah.
Well, we mentioned how Vince McMahon is, and that is kind of a great segue into our main discussion for this episode, which is the Brawl for All, which happened in 98. Was it 98? Yeah, 98. This was featured on a recent episode of Dark Side of the Ring.
Was it in 99? Because I thought that's when it ended.
I think
I could be wrong.
It started. It was like June of 98, and then it led into WrestleMania that 99. Yeah, so
I'm probably wrong. Probably wrong.
So basically what Brawl for All is for those that don't know, this was kind of the era of the Monday Night Wars. WWE versus WCW. Yeah, it was 98.
Okay.
Everyone's trying to up one or the other. We're doing this, so we got that going. It's a big ratings war. And the two main people they interviewed for this episode are two people that, one, definitely hate each other, and two, the wrestling world hates both of them, as it is. So
for various reasons.
For various reasons, yeah. Two people that I personally hate, as far as a wrestling fan goes, are being featured in this episode, and they both look like pieces of shit. So, however it works out. Of course, I'm talking about Vince Russo and Jim Cornette. We get a little backstory.
Yeah, because those when you're talking wrestling and bad ideas, you want to get Vince Russo's input.
Vince Russo, bad ideas. Jim Cornette is somebody that just you got to get with the times, man, and don't insult every new fucking idea that comes across, right? Yeah. So Vince Russo, we get a nice little backstory about how he was a writer for WWF magazine at the time, and gets pulled into Vince's office with all the big head honchos. And wants to hire Russo as a writer based on the stuff that he's written. He wants the more reality type thing, the stuff that's not talked about. because up to that point, WWE still had some reputation of the crazy characters. I love that they showed Mantar trying to get
goon,
in. Yeah, the goon. They showed Mantar. Of course, he couldn't even get in the damn ring with that big ass costume. And he had to wrestle like that.
So, amazing.
Yes. Yeah. So, what the hell, right? So this kind of laid out, and Cornette didn't like it because Vince Russo wasn't in wrestling. He was an outsider. But I think Vince McMahon made the right call in bringing somebody that wasn't involved in wrestling onto the writing team. They needed some new, fresh ideas. Because if you're using
for the record, everyone listening, I hope you know this is one of the few times we will ever say the words Vince Russo and good idea in the same sentence.
Well, here's the thing. He was a good idea to hire as a writer at that point.
That's what I mean. Just one of the few times we'll mention that as a good thing.
Yeah, because after that, when he left to WCW and did the write for WCW, from then on, it was Vince Russo, bad idea. Because
yeah, definitely. Him as a part of the creative,
whatever they called
it.
Yeah, they did some storyline with that. Buff Bagwell is like kind of opening up the curtain in the middle of a match, but it's storyline driven. All that stuff was kind of WCW, but that's a discussion for another time. So it was interesting to me how this all got started. Now, Tommy, I know you didn't see the episode. Do you have any familiarity, and don't spoil it, Mike, how the idea for Brawl for All came about?
If I remember correctly, I thought it was kind of to help get Dr. Death Steve Williams over.
Okay. That's kind of where it goes, but before that, I'll let you say it. So.
Well, okay. Before that, I'm not sure. Sorry.
Once it got set up, they wanted people to do that.
Yeah.
But JC's right. They explain where Russo gets the idea and why he wants to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So do we want to tell him? Is that what we're going with?
I'll tell him with it. So
I guess we have to, huh?
Vince Russo's hanging around the locker room, and this is the locker room where everyone's trying to, I'm a badass, I'm this or that, I'm the tough man. Everyone's trying to be competitive. And Bradshaw stands up and says in a legit fight, he can kick everyone's ass in that locker room. And it's kind of rubbing Vince Russo the wrong way. And he says, you know what? Okay, let's see if he can put his money where his mouth is. I'm going to create this 16-man real fighting tournament, pitch this to Vince McMahon, allowing these guys who don't get a lot of TV time a chance to get out there and let's see who the toughest guy in the locker room really is. And the whole point of it was for as much as Bradshaw was being a bully to him and talking shit, he wanted to see Bradshaw get his ass knocked out. So he pitches the okay. Everyone would sit there and might blame Russo for this idea, but he had to pitch it to Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon had to sign off on it. And Vince loved the idea from the pitch and said, let's do it.
But isn't that how a lot of things in wrestling happen nowadays? Everyone hates Bradshaw, so they want to do something.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. And it's funny that this story comes out when this is supposed to be Bradshaw's Hall of Fame year. So,
I didn't even think about that.
So yeah, they set up this 16-man tournament. They ask people if they want to be involved. Bart Gunn obviously is the person they interview. They interview Bart Gunn a lot. They interviewed Draws, which, still, I mean, for what he has gone through, he's still in really good spirits. He's still had a sense of humor. I mean, you still feel like you're talking to Draws, in the wheelchair and everything on the interviews. But so Cornette thinks it's a bad idea. They're talking to Jim Ross. This is a horrible idea, but they're going to run with it. Vince McMahon says it's okay. And they literally, for the matchups, which I thought was the dumbest thing. I mean, okay, I get why they did it. They put all the names in a paper bag and drew them at random. That's how they got the first round matchup.
Yeah. So as JC was saying a second ago, the was that it was something with one of the agents arrived in the back room, and he was literally drawing names out of a hat to see what the brackets were. There's a couple guys, even specifically, but a few that believe that BS, and they just said that like they do a lot of times, and that they go the brackets in general because right off the bat, against Bob Holly, who at the time, Bart Gunn and Bob Holly were the new Midnight Express, and they were tag teaming. And he even talks about they had their the first time at Monday Raw, and the next night they were back on the road as a tag team, and it went awkward.
Okay, it was cutting in and out, but basically up to the point where it started cutting out is that they're drawing these at random, and then somehow they put Bart Gunn against his tag team partner Bob Holly in the first round, which is total BS when you think about it. Like, okay, did they do that on purpose? And then these guys are having to fight each other one week, and beat the crap out of each other, and then they're wrestling as a tag team going on down the road. So there's basically a lot. Yeah, so a lot of a bullshit factor in there. So who knows?
That sounds just absolutely ridiculous to me. And we haven't even gotten to the full meat of the story yet. And already I'm just like, this is a bad idea. They should have stopped that.
Yeah. So here's the names we had in this. Steve Blackman, who we knew he was a martial artist type of character. He had some martial arts background. He's faced up against Mark Mero, who's a legit boxer, a Gold Gloves boxer. Right. And I think Steve Blackman does win the first round matchup against him, but Mark Mero advances because Blackman gets hurt in training.
Right, I think you're right.
Yeah, Mark Canterbury against Bradshaw, Brackus versus Savio Vega, Draws versus Hawk. I think that ends up in a draw, but Draws advances because Hawk gets hurt. As we mentioned, Bob Holly against his tag team partner at the time, Bart Gunn. They did a pretty extensive interview with him about how after he split up with Billy Gunn, he kind of was nowhere, and he almost fell for him.
He really was.
Yeah, this was kind of his time to shine. So what has he got to lose, right? Pierre versus Dr. Steve Williams, Godfather versus Dan Severn, and Severn won the first fight. I mean, as a former UFC, he's a UFC Hall of Famer, former UFC
that
fighter.
That really wasn't fair at all. But anyway.
Yeah. Severn won, but says, I got nothing to prove. And basically, let's be honest, because anything could happen in this, he saw no reason for him to put himself in harm's way. So Godfather advanced. And then, of course, 8-Ball against Scorpio. So...
Too Cold Scorpio,
excuse me, yes. Yeah.
What? Not Scorpio Sky?
Yeah. Could you imagine Scorpio Sky, anything like this?
No,
so,
I thought he was our favorite wrestler. Okay, sorry.
So the first round matches start. There's this weird point system. Nobody knows. Three 1-minute rounds, 5 points for most hits in a round. The judges don't know what the hell is going on. If it's a knockout, it ends the whole thing. Somehow through the course of it, they gave points for takedowns because it somehow happened in a match. It's just a clusterfuck. But, I remember watching it, and I really remember not knowing what to think when it was going on.
I think that's what the sad part was. So did the people booking it.
Yeah, I thought maybe this was just some sort of like tough man competition among wrestlers. And to be honest with you, when I was watching it, a part of me thought it was still kind of a scripted part of the show. Honestly,
that's exactly what I was going to say. The first couple fights, I was like, Is this the same thing? They're just trying to branch out to UFC type fighting, or
getting boxing involved, tough man competition.
But it was real sloppy, so
and very sloppy. It felt like, I guess when you look back on it, I thought, okay, it was a good idea to get these guys more TV time, one way or another. But it wasn't until Bart Gunn started knocking people the fuck out, because he's the only one that registered some knockouts in this whole thing. As we mentioned, this was all about, once they had the idea there, they were kind of trying to rig the brackets around thinking Dr. Steve Williams was going to destroy everybody.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, this was Jim Ross's boy. This is the guy he brought in. They spent $5 million on this guy to bring him in and make him a star. And Tina watched this with me. And what it really got to us was when it got to the second round, they adjusted the bracket a bit so that Dr. Steve Williams had to fight Bart Gunn. Thinking, okay, they let Bart Gunn know who you're fighting against. So you switch the bracket around. It's like, I'll work with you guys. He's like, no, we think Dr. Steve Williams has got this. So they basically told Bart Gunn to his face, on the phone, and then again to his face, no, you're not going to beat Steve Williams.
Yeah.
And Bart basically said,
wow.
Bart basically said on the phone, I'm going to knock this guy out. He said, yeah, okay. He's got these big wigs saying, yeah, okay. He gets to the show, and everyone's like, yeah, you're going to knock out Steve Williams. Yeah, okay. Everyone's telling him that. everyone's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, you're going to knock this guy out. Bullshit. Because Steve Williams has fought in Japan. He's fought all these other things. And Tina are looking at each other like, oh my God. He basically backed this guy in a corner. What did you think was going to happen? Yeah. Mike, you're watching that, or are you just like shaking your head like, oh my God?
Oh yeah, like I mean, like I said earlier, honestly, one of the best part of the documentary, because like you said, there's nothing really new, and it wasn't the dark episodes they do, but the stories from the individuals, like Bart Gunn talking about his whole thing, how he didn't think, he just joined it to see what he could do. Then they told him, we didn't think you have a shot, and they wanted Dr. Death to get in. I also had some fun with The Godfather.
Oh my God. I loved how he was like, man, I was smoking all the time. I don't give a shit.
He was like, I was high for let's be honest, I was high for every match I ever went into.
That was hilarious. He was even talking about what stuff he did at strip
club. Spent some time before Godfather and before Nation of Domination as Kama the Ultimate Fighter. That was like his gimmick too. I mean, he was a legit 6'7", 6'8" bouncer from Las Vegas clubs and stuff. So
yeah, he was telling a story about how if he saw pimps, he'd knock him out of the bar.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
that's crazy.
Yeah. So they back Bart Gunn in the corner. He gets into the match with Steve Williams, and at some point, Steve Williams tears his hamstring, and Bart just knocks him out. So here's your big investment laid out in the ring, and well, he's got to recover from an injury. Like his reputation was damaged, basically, and that's where I look back at it like, that was a dumb idea to put Dr. Steve Williams in this. If you were using something you don't really have complete control over to push a guy, what did you think was going to happen?
Yep.
And Bart gets to the back, and he's got heat on him, but it's like, dude, what is he supposed to do? Not fight back? Take the fall if this is a real
fight. Not his fault. That's really not his fault.
Yeah, it's
either all kayfabe or it's no kayfabe.
Yeah,
pretty much. But I feel like they had missed an opportunity, because when they told these guys what was going on, they said all six, if you win this tournament, you're going to get a shot at Steve Austin and the WWF Championship.
Right.
That was the whole idea. The whole idea was like, if you win the tournament, they're going to do that. Obviously, thinking that Steve Williams was gonna win it all, and they push that. But I feel like they missed an opportunity here, because Bart Gunn had some freaking crazy knockout power, man. He knocked out Dr. Death. He knocked out the Godfather, and he laid out Bradshaw, which Vince Russo said when it happened, he was just delighted because he just wanted to see Bradshaw get knocked out. So, what really bothered me was like, okay, he won, he's going to get a shot, and then just send him home, and then he ends the fight Butterbean later on. But I was like, this is another missed opportunity. Like, why not push Bart in that scenario?
Yeah, and he said he basically felt like
they were mad at that point.
Yeah, but
yeah, exactly. Bart basically felt like the Butterbean match was a punishment for kind of ruining their plans, and he said they actually sent him to get some actual boxing training, and he felt like that really messed him up more than if they would just let him do what he normally did. Because it said it changed the way he was fighting, his stance, and everything he had done in the matches to get the knockouts, he kind of changed. So, he kind of felt they did that as punishment for ruining Dr. Death and the whole Brawl For All itself.
Yeah, Butterbean, they interviewed Butterbean. He even said that if he had just done what he was doing, he had a 50-50 shot to win. It might have been a better fight. So, but I think the missed opportunity there is like, you could have built up this whole new character for Bart Gunn. He's a tough man. He has knockout power. He throws punches. It's a threat to knock somebody out. And you could have built up something like that with him against Steve Austin. And even if he doesn't beat Steve Austin, he's at mid-card status. He's getting the TV time, and you can build up something with that. There's not a whole lot. If your thing was he doesn't have a whole lot of charisma, can't really cut a promo, you can run with that though. If he's just a guy that walks up and knocks people out.
Yeah.
I mean,
but look at their track record of booking guys who get themselves over without their help.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I mean, I think somebody made the argument, I want to say it was Jim Ross, that the worst thing about Brawl for All was that nobody got over. And I was like, I disagree with that. I think Bart Gunn really got over because I remember towards the end, those last few matches, the fans were behind him.
Yeah.
Because he was knocking people out legit. The fans loved to see that. And he, in essence, they sent him home, but I think the fans really wanted to see him get some sort of push because once the Smoking Guns broke up, there really hasn't been anything for him. And this was his chance at that. And it sucks that they basically screwed him out of it. So,
Maybe JR meant it was sad, no one got really over as far as the company itself. The fans you can get over, just the company won't,
Yeah, it was another case of the guys in suits deciding who wins, just who's the guys to push rather than the guys that work for it. So,
and that's wrestling.
Yeah. To Vincent Russo's credit, he said if he had known then what he knows now about concussions and CT and all that, he never would have pitched this idea. And obviously, he doesn't think this would ever happen in today's world of wrestling.
And to play devil's advocate in his defense, I don't think anyone would have let him do it in the first place. So if everyone knew what they knew now,
no, not nowadays. But back then, that was the attitude, that was the era of tough man kind of thing, try and get some sort of ratings grab, new ideas sort of thing. So not to say there aren't new ideas
unprotected chair shots they would take to the head during that time, and the attitude era, and it kind of snakes back into the previous Dark Side of the Ring with Benoit. If they knew what all those things did to the brain and how it affects them, they definitely wouldn't. They definitely wouldn't do it nowadays without the boxing helmets or something like that. But more to the point, they probably just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So, Mike, when you were watching this, was there anything new that you learned watching this?
Again, nothing earth-shattering. It was just the little individual stories. We talked about some of the people that had on draws, and again, I said I really enjoyed The Godfather talking about stuff. And I guess we learned a little bit more about the way Bart Gunn felt, like we just mentioned, how he felt like he was getting punished. But even then, I remember them talking about how they felt Steve Williams and Dr. Death was going to come in and destroy people. And I kind of mentioned this before when we were talking between ourselves. Even if he would have wanted, I'm not sure if Dr. Death would have gotten over to the level that they think he was going to. I'm not sure he had that character for America.
No.
And the person that would have worked. I know in Japan he went over and you can be the big American monster like Hansen and Vader. I'm just not sure he would have thrived in the attitude type era the way they think, or Jim Ross thinks.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, if he had the charisma to kind of hang in there with everybody. That was sort of the thing, yeah. So he just had that tough guy attitude sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, we kind of discussed this, obviously a tournament like this, as it stood, probably would not happen in today's modern wrestling. But could there be some sort of alternative, similar idea, but an alternative to that in today's wrestling? Not necessarily a tough man tournament, unless you're doing like some protective headgear, like amateur boxing or something. But my thought is more of, can you scrounge up 16 guys or girls to have some sort of a tournament that are not getting any TV time whatsoever, and put them in a tournament and allow them some TV time so maybe they get a shot at, say, the Intercontinental title or the United States title.
You talking legit or like kayfabe tournament?
Like maybe kayfabe. Maybe you find some way to do that,
Because that's what NXT tried, right? That was the what ACH won, what Jordan Miles won. What was it called? The
World's Finest or something like that?
No, that was their pay-per-view. Right? I know what you're talking about. Yeah, Young Lions or something?
No. NXT, the Jordan Miles one that got the shot against...
Yeah.
Didn't he? Against Adam Cole?
I'm trying to remember the name of the actual tournament, but I know what you're talking about.
I don't remember the name of the tournament. Oh my God.
But whatever it was, if I remember correctly, that was the idea. Most of it was NXT talent that hadn't really had a chance to be on TV and had a lot of regular matches.
Okay.
what I was going to say real quick before you get to that, I don't know how entertaining this would be, but you probably, with the amount of athletes you have on there, could have a small, college or Olympic-style wrestling tournament.
Yeah,
that's true.
So many of them have
that's some of the other thing I would think of, like some kind of old school, like, mat-based classic tournament type deal.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to
Like
bring in
the
some
title,
like
Ring of
legit
Honor.
judges and referees to kind of handle this. You can't have guys
you would
that
definitely,
don't know it.
I mean, if you wanted to do it right, you'd have to get knowledgeable people, or even like a judo grappling type tournament, maybe.
Basically, some sort of amateur MMA type thing is what you're thinking right there.
Yeah, maybe, but mostly grappling and holds, no real knockout punches, kicks, strikes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. That would be interesting to see, actually, when you think about it. What other ideas could you put out there? Because like we've said, WWE loads up on their roster. They have loads of people they just kind of hoarding, so nobody else has them. And of course, until they just release a whole bunch of them with all this is going on. So maybe this is something that could be done again, not necessarily to the craziness that Brawl For All was. But I guess my final thought on this is your guys' opinion. I think we'll all say it was bad, but was it really as bad a mark as on wrestling as Jim Ross, Jim Cornette have said?
I mean, those two guys clearly come from an old school Southern protect the business wrestling type view of things. Us as, I don't know, more general fans, looking back, it was bad just because it was so sloppy. They didn't have control of it, so it kind of just went where it went. And, I don't know, it's not a stain on wrestling. It was just a bad idea that didn't work out well.
But they saw it through, though, and credit to that, because they could, if they'd have just shut this down before anything really happened, then it would be like, whatever. So it's like, at least they saw it through, I think, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was like the worst idea wrestling's ever had. WCW still carried on in the 2000s, so there we go. So there's that. So
yeah, and WWE had way worse
Whatever.
ideas.
Scott Steiner was a Tiger King before the Tiger King.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, but is he wrong? Is he wrong with what he just said? That sounded like accurate to me.
That's true. Wrestling has its bad ideas. The funny part is, I'm curious to know if this has ever been done elsewhere, and we just never knew about it. Like if some promotions in Japan actually ran something similar to this, and it just never made sense.
The closest I could think of was like UWFI. I think Antonio Inoki, was one of his brainchildren, was like a wrestling MMA type deal.
Okay.
Second closest was like Inokiism, which was, for better or worse, was like he would love guys who were MMA based to bring into New Japan to win matches. That's the closest I think, because he would put them over like crazy. That's the closest I could think of. I'd have to look up, because I think UWFI was the closest thing, but like it was a separate company. It was never like, well, okay, I can't say never, because like guys winning there did affect New Japan. So yeah, I think that was like their version of Brawl For All, with varying levels of success,
So it was almost like a hybrid wrestling MMA type thing when you think about it. Kind of sort of thing.
Yeah, but the thing is though, it kind of like Brawl For All, it didn't get that over in a lot of ways. UWFI by itself did, but when they tried to fuse it with New Japan, not as much. That's when guys like Shinya Hashimoto, I forget who he beat for the belt I think it was like his first reign. The crowd went crazy because Hashimoto was just a straight up wrestler. So
okay, and I guess
that's the closest I could think of.
Tommy, I'm sorry not to totally go off track, but you're talking about that, or a little bit from that Cultaholic video about the top ranking the New Japan champions.
Yes, I watched that video at least twice.
That's how much I watched that a couple weeks ago. That was really good.
Yeah, Hold on, because now I can't stand it. I'm trying to remember who Hashimoto beat for that belt. I'm looking it up. Sorry. Whenever y'all keep going. Whenever I don't know something New Japan, like the fact that I don't know it actually irks me to the point where like, why don't I know that? I should know this. I'm an idiot. So, yeah.
Oh, Tommy having his Tommy Boy moment there. I should know that.
Well, you know what I kind of wonder with some of these smaller American indie promotions, the death matches that kind of got popular for a while there. It makes me wonder if they ever told them like really beat the crap out of each other and see what happens. Because I mean, just the stories we've heard from some of them.
Some of the matches we've seen live too. Like, I mean, Masada Necro Butcher comes to mind. He legit knocked Necro Butcher out, man. You know, I mean, that's stuff. We've seen some of that live, but I'm sure there are stories around that. You know,
no Hiko Takada. That's who Hashimoto beat. Sorry. Okay. I found it.
Well,
I feel better now.
Tommy can now rest easy.
Yes.
He's
good. He's good. He's got the knowledge. Well, my last question before we move on is actually for everybody out there watching, and even for you guys, if you feel like you need to answer this now or if you want to come up with it later. Who in today's wrestling world that isn't getting a whole lot of TV time, is a sleeper kind of guy, could you see winning a sort of modern day Brawl for All? Like Tough Man tournament?
Someone who doesn't get a lot of TV time.
Yeah, I think I know Mike's answer, but he is getting more TV time, kind of.
I know who y'all assume I'm going to say.
Yes.
But he does get TV time.
Mm-hmm.
And
fair.
I'm not, in 100% honesty, I'm not sure what his actual fighting prowess is. He's clearly got strength and the kind of strength that's useful in wrestling, but you know, I really don't know how well his grappling, fighting skills may be in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm honestly trying to think of some people who might fit that bill that we don't really see that often.
And I know I'm asking this at the wrong time because so many people just got released. You're like, who the hell is still on the roster, right? So
they could. No, I'm just kidding.
So I don't know.
JTG.
Yeah. I mean, you could preemptively say Lashley because it seems like pretty soon he's not going to have a whole lot of TV time anyway, as it is. So I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, yeah, but he's definitely. I mean, he literally does MMA fights.
Yeah, he's done it for real. So I don't know, but that's a question I'm posing out there.
Brock Lesnar, duh, he clearly does not get enough TV time.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
That guy needs more time in ring. I mean,
yeah,
come on, sure. They let him wrestle like 3 times a year. That's not fair.
Yeah, he is severely underutilized.
Okay.
And I hope everyone listening knows that'll be the very, very last time I ever say that.
Who that is a full-time wrestler but isn't getting a lot of TV time there. I fixed that. How about that? Yeah.
You know who would have been, but he did get released was the second Sin-Cara.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah. He's doing great.
There was a lot of stories from him on podcasts and on the internet about he got into legit fights backstage and would take care of people.
Mm-hmm.
You know who doesn't wrestle anymore? You know who doesn't wrestle anymore but could have won something like that? Haku.
I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that. Yeah.
All the stories I hear about Haku legitimately like breaking people like in bars and everyone's having a horror story of we thought Haku killed that guy or something like that. Like, yeah. I'm sure Haku would absolutely decimate a tournament like that.
Yeah. I got to agree with that.
Yeah, well, let us know out there who you think would win a modern day sort of Brawl for All. Somebody that's full time, somebody that's not on TV a whole lot, that you think if they could put something together like this. Obviously, they're not going to, but if they put something together that they could promote a new talent to bring them up, male or female, who could win something like this and put them and get it to a modern day kind of push. So,
man, now you got me thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be thinking about that and try to see what I can come up with.
Maybe we'll open next week's episode with that question and just get everybody's answer. So,
okay.
So from that, we're going to move into our 1 minute warning. If you guys have anything this week, I know it's been. We talked a lot about so much news with releases and everything last week. I know we're all gearing up for Money in the Bank. Anything you guys want to discuss this week?
I don't think I have anything. Yeah, I think I'm out this week. I don't think I have anything.
All right, Mike?
No, same here. It's just, it's kind of an odd time in wrestling, and there's nothing really that I want to get out right now. So
okay. Damn, I
you?
was hoping y'all have something because I sometimes use that time to think of something, but
Oh,
yeah.
well, I mean, in all fairness, I didn't really get. I wasn't on last week to talk much about the releases.
If you want to share your thoughts now, you're more than welcome to. So
Yeah, I guess I'll just take a quick minute on that then. In
sure,
general,
whenever you're ready.
I said from the beginning, y'all kind of mentioned this too. Like overall, the releases suck. There's a lot of reports that came out that it didn't really save the company that much money. It was done um, for the shareholders to look like they're trying to be like. Supposedly they've made more money this year, or I guess through 2019 than any previous year. And even if they didn't hold any more pay-per-views this year, they would still have some really high numbers. The biggest thing is I just hope all those talent find some place to land. Like we all kind of figure that the Good Brothers are going back to New Japan. The Revival are becoming the Revolt, and most people believe they'll end up in AEW. I hope AEW doesn't sign all of them necessarily, because that's kind of a risk that Impact TNA fell into. But I think there's enough places with NWA, Impact, AEW, and then some solid indie scenes where once everything's back up and running, they can find places. And and some of those guys who didn't get much time or never utilized correctly can hopefully get a run going. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah. And okay, Casey, can I tell them the joke I texted you after all the releases?
Sure, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so look, I'm not making fun of anyone for losing their job. It obviously sucks. But
yeah.
if everyone remembers when Tennille Dashwood was Emma and got released, she had just had a match with Asuka on like Raw or Smack, probably Raw, and then she got released. And Leo Rush at the time tweeted, "I guess Emma wasn't ready for
Asuka."
And he got a lot of crap. He got taken off TV or whatever, or a lot of crap. Maybe that was before he was on TV. He got a lot of crap for it. So when he got released, I know it's not funny, but I texted JC, or I put in the message. I was like, I wonder if Tennille Dashwood tweeted, "I guess Leo Rush wasn't ready for the Cruiserweight Classic tournament."
Wow, that's funny.
It comes full circle.
I mean,
people don't forget.
It does. I was saying you can't really get. It's not really that bad when It's just full circle.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, I've heard reports that he's grown up a lot over the last couple of years, and so but it was just a joke that popped in my head when it happened. So.
Okay.
And even if he heard it, he's got to be like, dude, come on, you kind of had that coming. Like, let's be real here.
At least laugh it off, like put a golf clap gif or something like that. It's like, okay, cool, you got me. All right. All right. I know what I want to say now, actually. So
okay, go for it.
There's a couple other pieces of this Dark Side of the Ring episode that stood out to me. First of all, at the very beginning, Jim Cornette does explain why wrestling isn't fake. The injuries are real. The action is real. Sure, some of the stuff that goes on is predetermined or pre-choreographed and stuff like that. Fine, but some of the things that they do in the ring is real. So I guess I do respect him. It's two different attitudes you see. Vince Russo was quick to call it fake. Jim Cornette was defending that it wasn't, and you understand it from that point. But one other thing that stood out to me was through the course of this discussion, they're talking about how people got hurt, and they're interviewing draws who took part of it. And to the casual viewer that maybe not know Draws' story, all they're thinking about is, oh my God, did he get paralyzed because of Brawl For All? Like, how does this happen? Because they're seeing this 50-year-old man in a wheelchair who looked young and vibrant during the Brawl For All days. And did he get paralyzed because of this? What I like that they did at the end is that they explained how he got hurt. And they actually did talk to D'Lo Brown. And what I enjoyed about that conversation, obviously D'Lo still feels horrible for what happened. It was just a fluke accident. Maybe went for a powerbomb. He slipped and it just came down wrong. And it was one of those things that just happens in the ring. And I think D'Lo, you can still see it in his eyes. He still thinks about that. He still lives with that for the rest of his life. But that Draws holds no hard feelings towards him. It was just one of those things that they're still friends and there's no heat between them. I thought it was really smart, really cool for the producers of Dark Side of the Ring to explain why Droz is in a wheelchair for the casual viewers who all of a sudden might stick to social media like, why the hell did they allow this to go on? You put a guy in a wheelchair. So thankfully, they did explain that to get more of Droz's story. And for a guy, like I said earlier, who has been through what he's been through, has lived life in a wheelchair, he still has a sense of humor. He still has a smile. He still has that same attitude we all remember seeing of him before he got paralyzed. And it's a pretty remarkable thing to see. I hope that maybe one day we get like a full-on story about him in the future. So
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. That's been like 20 years now.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? We're getting old.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Well, as old as we're getting, we're still up on the.
We're getting old. I'm married. I have a stepdaughter.
Well, we're still on Twitter, of course. CCG_WrestleCast. Give us a follow, interact with us. Let us know who you think would win, sort of a modern day Brawl for All among the current talent. Could be from any roster. Go WWE, go AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, or whatever. Let us know who you think would win some sort of modern day tournament who's not getting a lot of TV time. Of course, our YouTube, Countdown City Geeks. Give us a subscribe to us. The Geekcast itself is celebrating its 5-year anniversary this month. We're coming up on 2 years of the WrestleCast in August, so it's pretty cool to see. Humble beginnings, and it was a blast to celebrate that with them.
That's awesome.
Next week on the WrestleCast, we're actually going to talk about a wrestling event again. Finally, WWE Money in the Bank. We're going to be previewing that next week, making match picks. If any of this is pre-taped, as the rumors are that they've already done the Money in the Bank matches from corporate headquarters, hopefully they do a good job of not leaking anything like they did for WrestleMania. So we're going to have a lot of fun picking those matches and seeing how the outcomes come out from there. So
the from corporate headquarters thing is still getting me.
Yeah.
Real quick, and I don't know if this was kayfabe or not. It looked like it might not have been. Mm-hmm. We're taping this Monday night, and I had Monday Night Raw on silent while we were on the phone here. Mm-hmm. Apollo Crews won the match to get in the Money in the Bank.
Right.
It appeared, I don't know if this was a live showing or this one was taped, but it looked like he injured his knee to where they literally stopped the match.
Oh, great.
And some ref and doctors came out. I don't know if it was kayfabe. I'm sure we'll find out in the next day or two.
Talk about another guy that can't catch a break, right?
If they already taped stuff and now he's legit injured, that could be weird.
We'll see. I don't remember what their taping schedule is. I think Tina had told us, and we talked about last week, is that they are, when they get together to like do a quote unquote live show, they're also taping like another week or two of Raw and SmackDown, like all together.
So I don't know where this Raw fell, if it was live or not. So
we'll have to see then, I guess.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if it was real. It could have been kayfabe and they just played it well, but they stopped the match. I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll see. We'll find out more and have an update on that by the time we record next week, where we're going to preview the entire Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Arguably one of the big 5 now. At least I consider it one of the big 5. So thank you guys for joining us. Thank you everybody for watching. Joining me on the phone this week is Tommy.
Thanks, guys.
We also got Mike.
Thanks. Be nice and social distance in 2020.
And I'm JC. And as always, heels and baby faces. Remember, pro wrestling is real.
People are
fake.
So if you want to subscribe to the channel, click right here.
And if you want to watch more WrestleCast videos, I got 3 words for you. Click right here.